She's a soccer mom with a rainbow sticker.
So, as you guys can tell by the title, I will be talking about breastfeeding. I am currently breastfeeding, and I just had a baby 2 months ago. So, I am 2 months postpartum, and I've been breastfeeding exclusively. It's only breastfeeding. I just wanted to give you guys a few tips on breastfeeding. So, these are things that people don't talk about or know before having a baby. You know, like the pain that you feel when when you're breastfeeding, like cracked nipples and stuff like that. People don't know about that. They just think breastfeeding is just, A1 and it don't hurt and this and that, and the amount of things that you have to put into it in order to care for your baby, as well as eating and stuff like that. So you have to be eating right and healthy, you know, at least 50 to 60% of the time that you are breastfeeding, because whatever you eat, your baby eats. So you have to be mindful of those things. So number one is the pain that you feel when you first start breastfeeding. I would say the pain is more so the latchment of the baby. If you and the baby is not latching properly onto the breast, it can cause excruciating pain. Like, I'm telling you, this pain is no joke. That's why a lot of people get discouraged and don't want to breastfeed, because of the pain. I know it hurts and stuff like that. It hurt me. Like, trust me, it hurts like a lot. So, but I didn't get discouraged, because I had it in my mind like breastfeeding is the best thing I can do for my baby. So I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna get through the pain, and I'm gonna make this work for me and my baby, because I know this is the best thing for her. So I've dealt with the pain, and I dealt with the cracked nipples. The nurse in the hospital helped me by giving me there's some pad things, like that you'll put over your nipple. I think you have to run it under cold water or something, and put it on your nipples to heal it. So you do that when the baby is resting. You don't do that, while right before you feed. When she's resting, you do that. You put the patch on your nipples, and let it heal for. I think you can reuse them too. They're reusable. You can just wash it and let it dry, and then use it again. But yeah, there are alternatives to get your nipples to heal while you are breastfeeding, as well as the ointment. Like, they have different brands in the ointment. So you just have to bear yourself and help the latchment with you and your baby, and the bonding. That's why it's very good to bond with your baby when they're first born. That's why some hospitals don't take your baby away while as soon as you give birth. They just put them right on your stomach and let you guys bond. They would leave you guys alone for a little bit, and let you guys bond. Let the baby, um, creep up onto your nipple and smell the amniotic fluid. Because once they just come out, sometimes they don't wipe the baby's hand when they first born, so they can still smell that. So when they go up to their nipple, they smell it, and they find their way. Sorry guys, and they find their way to your nipple, and they latch themselves instead of moving the baby head around trying to latch the baby. The baby will do it themselves, and that's a better way for the baby to latch. They didn't do that with neither of my kids in the hospitals, but they did leave us alone for bonding time when Leigh was born. So that's a good way of getting you guys to get comfortable with each other, and allowing that bonding to be very natural. So another thing is drinking water. When you are breastfeeding, you have to drink a lot of water. Water, because it's no joke. You can be dehydrated, and as well as the baby, because as you know, when you're breastfeeding, baby takes a lot from you, a lot. So that's why you lose weight so fast when you're breastfeeding, because the baby is, she's sucking everything from you, everything. That's why the weight goes so fast, and your stomach goes down tremendously. Yeah, so like drinking water is key. Like, you have to have a bottle of water with you everywhere you go, Anywhere you're at, if you're sitting down watching TV, drink plenty of water, like a gallon a day. I'm talking about. So your milk can just be, flowing. And my baby is a cluster feeder. Not all babies are, but my baby is a cluster feeder, which means her feedings are closer together. Like every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes, she's, constantly on your breast. That's another thing you might not know before you have a baby. If it's your firstborn or whatever. Actually, every baby is different, but you might not know that when before you have a baby. So the baby might be a cluster feeder. You never know. So my second daughter, is a cluster feeder. So she eats about every 10 minutes. So she's always on my breast, and that makes me produce more milk actually. Instead of me pumping, since she's always on my breast, she's constantly eating. So it's, my body's thinking that she's so hungry, which she is, because she's constantly on my breast. And so instead of me pumping so much, she's always on my breast. So that's my pumping right there. So sometimes when she goes to sleep, I still pump, and you produce more milk that way. You fill it up and you store your milk. So that's a good way of doing that. So when you want some alone time, the dad or whoever else can help you feed the baby, so you can get some rest, because that's very much needed as well. So what's another thing? Yes, pumping. Pumping is, that helps you tremendously. So always try to pump your nipples so you don't lose your supply. It's very, it's very important. And another thing, do not get discouraged when you are breastfeeding, because you're going to have people that are not educated on breastfeeding that will tell you a whole bunch of stuff that you've never heard and you don't know about. So it's always good to just, read about it or talk to someone who's educated, like a nurse, or, some nurse that is educated on breastfeeding. Because a lot of people is not educated, and they tell you a whole bunch of crap that you never heard about and you don't know about. Do your research on breastfeeding if you really want to do it. Breastfeeding was, has been going on for years. People have been breastfeeding, and there's a lot of people that's still not educated on breastfeeding. If there's a problem with you and your health, that's different. If you don't, if you can't breastfeed, that's the difference. But if you really want to breastfeed your child, you should do so, because that's the best thing for you and your child, instead of giving them someone else's milk, I think breastfeeding is a really good way for your child's health. Even like if your child gets sick, your antibodies will fight off that sickness for them, So it's a good thing for you to breastfeed your child sometimes, instead of giving them medication and stuff like that. So don't get discouraged about not knowing anything. If you don't know, ask someone who's educated on breastfeeding, who studied it and stuff like that. Don't listen to your friends or families that say horrible things. Or if you have small boobs, your baby's not going to get enough, so you have to give them bottle. That's not true. That is not true. I have big boobs, but that's not true. That's not how your supply come in. You have to pump, you have to drink water, and get some rest and get rest. Those are how your supply come in. And eat a lot, because since the baby takes so much from you, you're gonna lose a lot of weight. So you don't want to be out here looking anorexic and stuff like that. So you have to eat a lot, eat more, you'll put on more weight. That's why they say you have to keep about 30 pounds on you, because the baby's taking everything. The baby can be attached to you, but you really don't want that, like, too close, because when it's time for you to go back to work and stuff like that, it's going to be very hard, because maybe the baby only wants the breast instead of the bottle. So you have to include the bottle ahead of time. You have to put them on the bottle until you pump your milk and put it in the bottle, and the baby will get it like that. So you introduce that beforehand, so you can get that in. So breastfeeding is no joke. It's a lot of work. You have to walk with your pump when it's time for you to go back to work. Walk with your pump, and they give you this. I might include the picture if I can find it right now. But they give you this water-based thing that you freeze when it's time for you to go back to work. You freeze them, and so you can pump and store it in the storage bag. So that's a really good thing as well. So you can, when you go back to work, it's mandatory that your job gives you about 15 minutes for you to pump. So breastfeeding is not that hard, you know. For my first child, excuse me, I got a little discouraged because people telling me stuff in my ear or whatever. And I only breastfed her for 3 months for my first child, which I wanted to go longer, but you know, I really wasn't prepared for all of that, going back to work and pumping at work and doing all that. I wasn't prepared. But for my second child, I knew I wanted to breastfeed longer, as long as I wanted to, you know, and for that's good for my baby. So I am planning on breastfeeding for a longer period of time. So I will definitely try my best to do so. If anything, then whatever happens, you know, it's gonna be the best decision for me and my baby. But going back to work can be a discouragement as well. So just be prepared for that and make sure you pump so you can have enough milk. So when you're at work, you don't have to worry about your baby being hungry, or you have to get another milk or somebody else's milk to give to your baby, you know. So yeah, those are a few things that I wanted to talk about breastfeeding. Now I am 2 months postpartum, and I am not going through any postpartum depression. I get help from my daughter's father, so everything is going okay right now. It's, you know, it's really good. So I am exclusively breastfeeding, but sometimes I'll pump and put it in the bottle so that he can feed her, and you know, we can take turns like that. I can get a little rest, and you know, it works out. So I think the latchment for the baby is very important, because when my daughter was first born, she was tongue tied. Tongue tied means is like that little thing when you lift up your tongue, and the line at the bottom, she has to stretch it out. Hers is short, so you know, as time goes by, she will stretch it out by, you know, whatever she do, the movements, she will stretch it out. That's called tongue tie. That can be a problem in latchment as well. Some people might not know that. I never knew that beforehand. So they was explaining to me, and they was, you know, they wanted to know why, the reasons why we wasn't latching properly, and they looked in her mouth and they seen that the baby um, was tongue tied, and she showed me exactly what it was. So we had to make a little adjustments with the baby, like helping her on the nipple properly, because I'm telling you, my nipple was cracked and sore, bruised up, and everything. Oh, it was so painful, because it was very painful. So that's why she helped me by giving me those ointments and stuff. They give you those stuff in the hospital, so it was really helpful. And it depends on the hospital that you go to. They will try and give you whatever they have. So you have to be mindful of that. Try to prepare those stuff before you have a baby, because your hospital that you go to might not provide those things. So you have to be prepared. So you have to do your research and get everything before the hand if you plan on breastfeeding. So yes, tongue tied is another issue when you try to breastfeed and the baby is trying to latch on properly. So that is all for now, guys. I want to thank you guys for watching this video, and make sure you subscribe and turn on your post notification bell for when I post a video. And you guys can. That's all for now, guys. So bye. See you later.